afterwards? What's your approach to singing harmonies?
Well, in the orchestra, it's they knew I was a singer. They heard that because
Sure.
when I auditioned, when I after Eric asked me to send him some music, I sent him like, it was pre-internet, so I sent him like 3 CDs, and they could hear that I could sing.
Right.
So when we got together to sing, it was Eric Troyer who, before he joined the orchestra, had a career as a session singer. So he sang on John Lennon's Woman. He sang on Billy Joel's Uptown Girl, Celine Dion, whatever the giant song was, sang with Bonnie Tyler,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
he was on a million records. Like every time we're driving around and there's a classic rock stage, and I think I sang on that,
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so Eric's a pro. And then Kelly Grocott, was the only other guy who ever sang in ELO with Jeff. And Kelly's got this kind of trumpet sound. So he had the hard mid-range, and then Eric had the ethereal high. And then I was sort of in there between everybody, and sort of it acted like a glue. And the first time we sang together, it was like, oh, that's good. That'll really work. It just, the paste tasted good.
Yes.
And then we now have a guy named Cliff Hillis, who's also a very, very good musician and has made a bunch of nice records. He was subbing for Glenn because Glenn's very busy, and Cliff would come in and play bass if on the rare occasions we couldn't make it work with Glenn. And then after a while, we just said, well, Cliff, why don't you come even when Glenn's here? And you can play a second acoustic, you can play like an acoustic guitar and add a fourth voice. So now we have 4 singers. So when you hear Can't Get It Out of My Head, the chorus to that, or any of these songs, Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. When you hear all that stuff, it's impeccable. And Cliff's a really good. So I'm in a band with 4 good singers. I mean, it's an abundance of riches. It's crazy. And in my local band, I've got a drummer named Ricky Wise and a bass player named Dave Fennessy. I like to say I'm the 3rd best singer in my own band because they're both tremendous singers. I mean, and
that's great.
We just, there's nothing better than great harmony singing, and it just works, and it's worked since the beginning. Now I ended up kind of joining those guys there was like an open mic night here in town in Maryland, and that's where I first met them, and we just started playing together for fun, and it sounded great from the beginning. It was like, oh, these guys can really sing, and so that's kind of how it happens, more than struggling to make something work.